Welcome to Known the Podcast. We're Brooke,
Hannah, and Mackenzie,
three friends whose goal is to go deeper into the Word
and to learn about the God that meets us in our everyday lives.
So let's sit, talk, and laugh together as we explore the extraordinary in the ordinary
and discover what it means to know God,
know ourselves,
and make Him known.
Hi, hey, hello. Welcome to Known the Podcast. This is Brooke here. And we were just talking about some childhood stuff before we started recording. And I want to know what is one of your all's most embarrassing childhood stories.
Oh, no.
I just told this recently, too, and it's quite funny. It's one of the only times that I can remember being embarrassed in my whole life. And
what's it like to not be embarrassing? What do you mean?
And it turns out it didn't even matter because they didn't see me. So So I was young, like maybe 10, 12. I don't think I was even 12. I think I was probably closest to 10. And I was actually at my now husband's house. He was not my husband at the time. We weren't even dating at the time.
That's a good thing.
That's good.
We were 10-ish. And we were all outside on the trampoline, and so I had to go to the bathroom. So for whatever reason, I went in, and I guess the downstairs bathroom was full. So I went upstairs to the bathroom, and I had to go really bad at that point. So I just ran down and sat on the toilet. And then immediately, as I'm going, I look over, and there is a window exactly like the whole ceiling to floor window in this bathroom right next to the toilet. Yes, right next to it.
That's not your fault. That is bad planning.
And no blinds or like curtains or anything, just straight. And I look out and I see all of the guys that I was just on the trampoline with to my right. Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing. And then they didn't even see me. I was like, I finished and went back downstairs and went back on the trampoline with them. And I looked up, and you can see that bathroom. Not great. Not as much as I thought that they could see me, because you're still looking to the second story and into a window into the house.
Yeah.
But it was the most embarrassing thing that has ever happened to me. And I found out years later when I asked my now husband about it, he said he'd never even saw anything. They didn't pay attention. They didn't look, by the grace of God.
Wow.
So,
well, I feel like, sorry, okay, this is a rabbit trail, but I just feel like using the bathroom in front of your spouse is like another level. Yeah.
We're not a co-bathroom habitator.
Yeah, Zach and I are not either. I think I've sorry, this is so random, but I feel like we've been in the same room as each other, using the bathroom like a handful of times. We're not even like a door open bathroom goer. Like it's
interesting.
Yeah. It's like, this is my time.
This is a me thing.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, back on topic.
We've got a lot of stories, man.
Pick the one that we are gonna like the most.
I think you'll like this one, Mackenzie. So when I was, let's see, my mom was pregnant, so I was 6. And my older brother and I were both on a soccer team. My one and only time on a soccer team in my life. From now till the end of time. And
doesn't your husband play adult soccer?
He plays a lot of things. Like he's done hockey, roller hockey, soccer, indoor soccer. Yay.
All of them.
For him. Not for me. So I played on the soccer team. I like to play sweeper in front of the goalie because it's not in my soccer league, it was not very much of a real job because you just got to dance there until the ball came, and then you just kind of ran around. So it was good for me. And the coach made me, and you had to play half of the game. And then after the half of the game, I could just go pick flowers. So that was my favorite. I always wanted to play the first half so I could get it over with.
Stories like this remind me that we're incredibly different.
Yes. I was really glad to be a part of it because Jordan always did like sports stuff. So I wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah.
I was a part of it.
Yeah.
And so one day I was playing and she put me on offense. Oh, that's not my spot. Okay. Fine. And I was, running, and there was this girl. I was little. At
Well,
6.
I mean, 6, you're not, most people aren't really.
But I was like little for the team too.
Okay,
It was like, I think it was like, it was a small town. So it was like 6, 7, 8. Like I was on the younger side of it as well. And this girl who was a lot bigger than me ran straight at me with the ball and kicked it. And it slow motion hit me straight in the face.
Oh, man.
And I froze, and immediately blood starts gushing out of my nose. And I'm just like, oh. And I just turn like 45 degrees to the left and raise my hand and wait for my coach to notice me. Standing on the field, blood pouring. And then the coach sees me and freaks out like, oh my gosh, get off the field. You don't have to hold. Because I'd always
raise your hand.
You don't have to wait. You can come. And so then they sent me like to the bathroom to get cleaned up and stuff. And I remember I was like walking up the hill, and I think my mom was actually telling my grandparents that she was pregnant. Like I don't remember. I remember meeting my Nana on the hill, and my Nana was the one in the family who was like going to baby you the most when you were hurt. And so that was ideal for me. So, we got all cleaned up and everyone was so apologetic. And then I remember the whole day my mom was like, kept checking, like, are you sure you're feeling okay? Like, okay, look at me. Like, she was checking me for a concussion, which I didn't, but I was like, why is she like so worried about it? And then that night I took a bath, and I remember looking in the mirror, and my whole face was green. And I was like, oh, that's why she's worried.
Okay, how old did you say you were?
6.
How hard was that little 6-year-old girl?
I'm telling you, she was big. I'm not trying to be mean, but she was just a lot bigger than me, and we were not far apart. It was bad.
Yeah, you couldn't have been.
No, my whole face turned green. Yeah.
I am also very impressed with your memory. Like, I have maybe one memory from kindergarten, and then after that, it's like 3rd grade, maybe like 12 years old when my like real memory kicks in.
Oh, no, I have a good amount of childhood memories.
Wow.
But
very impressive.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of childhood memories. I do remember this story, though.
Here we go.
Okay, so this might not be as funny to you guys, but if you saw the camcorder video that we have, it hits differently. So I have always had this fear of heights, or like a fear of falling. And whenever I was way too old to have this reaction, I was probably 12 or 13. I went with, my whole family went with another like family friend group. We went to Ober-Gatlinburg to do the sledding, which if you have been to Ober-Gatlinburg and saw the sled hill, it is not that big. But whenever I say I had a full-blown panic attack going all the way up to the top, I say all the way up, going up to the top of this little bunny hill, it was full-blown, okay? So we're getting our tubes, and I'm already like feeling the anxiety. I'm not okay. I'm with my mom and with my really close friend at the time. And they have this little conveyor belt that you like put your tube on, you like start to go up the hill. And so everybody in front of me is like super, super happy. Awesome. Awesome. My dad's like standing on the sidelines. He's got the camcorder and he's just going down the line. Everybody's just smiling so hard, so excited. And then it gets to me. No. It's just full on crocodile tears, scrunchy crying face. Oh my gosh. The video's so good. I have to find it. We post it to our Instagram. I get up to the top of the hill, and again, just full-blown panic attack, just crying. I didn't know that's what it was at the time, but of course, looking back, I'm like,
such a trip. Your first panic attack when you don't know what it is.
Yes, yeah, just full anxiety mode. And I look at my mom, and I was like, I'm gonna throw up. And she just, in the most tough love response, she's like, you need to pull it together. We've paid for this. You're going down this hill.
Did it help?
No, but the video again is so good because my friend goes, my mom goes, my brother goes, everybody's like laughing, having a great time.
It left you for last?
Oh, she probably didn't want to go at all, so she was putting it on.
I think I went at like the same time as my mom probably. Okay. But like the camera just pans over to me and it's still the same face, just full on crocodile tears, screaming, crying. I get to the end and I look at my mom and say, I'm never doing that again. And I just, to this day, I really want to know how tall that hill actually is because I know it's not as big as I remember it being.
Is it still the same now as it was?
Probably.
I would imagine so. Ober's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think they're changing much.
I'm actually very impressed.
The video?
Yeah, recreate the video, but I'm actually very impressed that you would do that. Like that you would go down like crying. Like that takes determination. You like.
Only because my mom was there and made me did I go. Yeah. I absolutely would have figured out a way back down. That did not require me sliding down in that too.
Our memory verse for this week is Psalms 139, 1-3. O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from afar. You search out my path and my lying down, and are acquainted with all my ways. Again, that's Psalms 139, 1-3. We hope that you're enjoying the verse of the week and memorizing along with us. You can find the wallpapers on our Instagram and our Instagram stories. Let us know if you're following along with the memorization. We hope you're enjoying this challenge just as much as we are. All right. Back to the regular episode.
All right, so what's on our topic list today, Mackenzie?
Oh, well, we were talking and we decided let's kind of talk about how we became friends, like godly friendships we've had. Like we got a couple questions here, so let's start with the first one. How did we become friends?
Hannah and I have humble beginnings.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Yes, it was a will they, won't they? Do you want to start? You want me to?
You tell it so much better than I do.
Okay. So, let's see. Brooke started coming around. I always thought Brooke was cool. Never thought anything bad about Brooke. What I did think was that she did not like me.
And I, Brooke, thought Hannah did not like me.
Crazy how that happens. And when I say for a while, I mean years. Yep. And so we would have these moments. Things would be happening like in groups or whatever. And we would make eye contact. And it was like in the office when Jim looks at the camera. I know y'all know what I'm talking about. Like that meaningful eye contact that shows that you're on the same page with someone in a moment where it matters.
Yeah.
And for years, that's all we had.
Years, guys. Years.
And I thought that we were like similar, and because we were similar, I thought that we like clashed.
Yeah.
Personality wise or something. Like I truly didn't think anything like negative, but I just thought that like we weren't going to be
like this
friends.
Is how it is.
Yeah, exactly. We just understood each other, and that was like
I understood you from a distance.
Yes.
Yeah. But like we were friends with the same people, but separately, yes. Our friend group would hang out with each of us individually. But we would not.
It was the weirdest, like
so strange.
Made up of nothing.
Because there was no animosity on either side. Neither of us thought anything weird of the other person.
Right.
But it was.
Did you think that I didn't like you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we both just gave off that vibe of like they don't
like me.
They don't approve of me.
Yes. And so then eventually Brooke reached out to me and a mutual friend of ours and said like, hey, I think we should do a Bible study together. And I was like, okay. And so I said yes, and we started doing it. And then one of the first times we met, I got really gutsy. I summoned everything in me, and I just looked at Brooke and I said, I don't know why we're not friends. because I don't not like you. And I don't think that you don't like me, but I also do think that you don't like me, but I don't. And I think that it's just been weird between us. But then we would have these, I just like word vomited. I was like, but then we have these moments and then we like make eye contact. And I just think we should just decide to be friends and just know that like I don't think anything bad of you and you don't think anything bad of me, and we should just leave it at that.
Yep.
And that for me was the turning point.
Yeah, that was the turning point, and then we still were not very close. I didn't
think bad of you. I didn't think that you didn't like me anymore. Like it was definitely, I felt more comfortable around you.
Absolutely. It's still, I think that we've both had similar experiences and friendships in the past.
Yes.
And I think that we both were like just dipping our toe in the water of like, okay, how's this going to play out?
Yeah. It was like, this is either going to get serious
or not at all. Yep.
What was the thing that like,
I think probably whenever, I guess the big turning point for all three of us was working in the office together, because we all work at our church.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sitting in for 2 to 4 hour meetings every week with each other, it like really allows you to see someone's personality on a different level.
Yeah.
And I'd say that was probably like a big like push towards it. And our friend groups started to intermingle like a lot more. And they're like, Hannah and Brooke are good, so we'll just invite everybody.
Everyone can come. And we started, like you started serving in youth ministry too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I don't know, I think just like working like shoulder to shoulder kind of helped us just get out of our heads about it a little bit and just like have that common goal.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of just like reset the rhythm that we kind of operate out of.
Yes. Yeah.
So my word of wisdom to everyone in awkward, almost friendship standoffs would be
face it head on.
Have the awkwardest conversation of your life. And then you will know, based on their response, if they actually don't like you or not.
Yep.
And if you can have a friendship with them, or if you just need to let it lie.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Just face it on and just say, hey, I don't not like you. No one doesn't want to hear that.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Be like, is there anything between us? No? Okay, let's be friends.
Yeah. And then believe the other person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Take their word for what it is.
Yeah.
I find that the friendships that I have those moments with of like, I don't know if they like me or if they don't like me or what it is, are almost always the people that I am the most similar to. I give off like a same type of feel. Because
I respect the most because I care about what they think.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true too. I had that experience with a girl in high school and we were very similar in all of our interests. And instead of being friends, we just competed with each other for 4 years. And then our senior year, I sat her down and I was like, listen, we're very similar. I was like, we can keep not liking each other or we could be like really good friends and do a lot of stuff together. Yeah. She's like, you're right. You could get a great friend out of it.
There you go.
Yeah. Hannah and Mackenzie, how'd you guys become friends?
I'd say definitely working at the office.
Yes.
And then also youth ministry and this podcast.
Yeah.
I do remember we all go to Trinity Community Church, and it's where my family went when I was a kid. And I remember when Hannah's family came for the first time. I was probably like 12. Do you know what year it was? How old were you?
Oh, man. I want to say 2011.
2011. Okay, so yeah, like 11 maybe. And I remember their family coming in, and Jordan and Hannah are a little bit older than me, but close enough to age where they were joining my friend group. And there was so much little kid, teenage, like preteen, teenage drama of adding like 2 pastors' kids to our friend group.
Everyone had grown up together was, I think, the big thing.
Yes.
And now there's a lot of people who have like shuffled in over the past dozen years. But at the beginning, it was kids who grew up like
when
diapers.
You came in, it was people who had been there for the past 12 years, 11 years. Yeah. So fun.
Yeah. And then me and Mackenzie, this is Brooke, by the way, we became friends, I feel like kind of randomly. I helped do hair and makeup at your wedding.
Yes. Yeah. But I didn't really know you.
I don't even think you might have known that I was there.
I don't know, but it's also your wedding day and there's a million things going on.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That just shows like how much we really didn't interact with each other. And then I feel like you started working at the church like 2 years ago. Over 2 years ago.
A little bit more than 2 years ago now. Yeah.
And I feel like because you had started coming into the church more regularly about the time that I was also there more regularly. And I didn't know how you felt about me because you're very confident. And I didn't get the vibe that you were prideful or that you were arrogant, but that just like you were content and didn't necessarily need more friends.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was it too. Is I just thought Mackenzie's just very cool. She gives us a very cool vibe.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
cool
thank
girl.
you.
Yeah, cool girl.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
don't know if I would agree with that, but I did have a realization a couple years ago, and I was like, wow, if I want to make friends, it's not going to happen. Like, I have to ask. It's not just going to happen. Like, I have to take the initiative, and I have to, like, ask them to coffee or ask them to go do something or ask them what their interest is. Like, I always saw people just, like, be friends. And I'm like, that's not that I didn't have friends growing up, but I'm like, that's so strange to me, you know?
Yeah. Well, one of the things I noticed about you was that you liked working out. And I was trying, as we all do, to get back into working out. And I was like, oh, maybe Mackenzie can help me. So I humbled myself and I said, Mackenzie, can I work out with you? And she said yes. So I met her at the gym and I got out of the car and I was like, oh, I'm so excited. And she goes, I had a dream last night that we became friends. So I'm just going to agree that that's going to be so. And it has been so.
And it has been
Beautiful.
Yep. And over the last year, I feel like we've just gotten super close. We have a lot of the same interests, but we are not very similar in personality.
Yes, which is very good for both of us.
For both of us,
we're not necessarily opposites, but she definitely brings out the best in me for sure.
Yeah, same for her.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. And then also our husbands are really good friends, so that helps us just do things together all the time.
Yeah, agreed.
A little get to know you there. So going off of that, how do you make friends with a stranger? Like, let's say someone in our church or like that's newer, or maybe someone that you met out and about and you're like, oh, I think they're cool. And we talked about something that we have a similar interest in. How do you grow that friendship?
I'm going to be honest. I'm sliding in the DMs.
Ooh,
I am. Not necessarily just like a straight like, hi, this is Hannah. We met the other day. But I will follow you on Instagram and I will react and respond to your stories.
Oh, yes. She plays the long game.
I will play forever. And I didn't realize that was what I did until someone told me that. They were like, it was someone from like my mom's group. Was like, yeah, like you were the first person in the group, like you followed me on Instagram and then you started like messaging me or like liking my stuff. And so then I just like felt like you wanted to be friends. And I was like, I did want to be friends, but I didn't think about it.
When you were doing that, you were just doing that because you liked her stuff.
I liked her stuff and I did think she was cool.
Yeah.
Like I did want to be her friend, but I didn't realize that was like intentionally the way that I was doing that.
Well, let me ask you also like a side note, like a side question out of that. Do you ask people for their Instagram? You're like, hey, like what's your Instagram name?
Yeah, I try and normally when I'm talking with someone, I look for like ins in the conversation. So like this girl I was talking about, she has like a farm. And so she posts a lot of stuff about the farm. And she said like, oh, like, and she does like a lot of DIY projects, things like that.
Cute. Yes, love that.
So she said something about like, oh yeah, I always post about it on my Instagram. I said, oh, what's your Instagram? I want to see your farm. So then I just followed her right then.
Yes.
Because it's way less awkward to have that conversation and follow them right then and then start talking to them on Instagram than to like look them up by their name and follow them later.
Yeah.
I don't know why. For me, that
I will
feels
say also
different.
just one note like that I've noticed about Hannah that I really appreciate, because we do work in the same office, if there's something that needs to be done and like someone asks her to do something, she'll immediately do it. Like she'll just get on her phone and do it. I'm like, wow, that's so impressive to me, because
I love your kind view of that, because that is me not trusting my brain at all.
It's very impressive to me. Yes, I want to be like that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm messaging, I'm sliding in the DMs, and then when I talk to them in person, it feels like we've already had a bit of a conversation going.
Yes. Yeah.
Or I know what to talk to them about.
Yes.
Yeah. I would say I'm a little bit of that way.
Mm-hmm.
I am more hesitant to jump into new friendships. That just being me, but I am getting better about it because I do want to have friends. The Lord has challenged me in that in the last couple of years to really put myself out there more. So I've been trying. But I will either follow them on Instagram and then just leave it at that and let whatever happens be natural. Or if I'm really feeling like, oh, like I feel like this is a kingdom connection, most of the time I'll ask for their phone number. And then I will pray, and if the Lord lays them on my heart a little bit later, I'll send them a text and let them know that the Lord's placed them on my heart and ask if there's anything I can pray about for them. And then if the Lord has a friendship there, then there's a friendship there. But if not, then I'm just praying for people. So
I love that.
That's kind of where I'm at right now.
I very much love that. That's great. Okay, next question. Ooh, this one's a good one. Do you have a failed or successful friend-making story with a stranger?
Well, that was my successful one, or one of. I have had a few successful ones, but that was one. I do have a failed one.
Let's hear it.
And it was my freshman year of college, and I didn't know anybody on campus when I moved there. And so I was like, I thrive off of having a few close relationships. Like I need a few people. I don't need a ton of people, but I need a couple.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, how am I going to make friends? I don't know. And like I had made some friends, but they were all like a part of this like scholarship program I was in, and it was just the group I was in. So it was just a group of guys. It's like, okay, that's not I need some more. I can't just play Pokemon Go with these guys. So I was talking to my dad about it. He's like, you just got to go to like the cafeteria and just like ask some girl if you like look for someone that seems lonely. And I'm like, that's me. Look in the mirror. So I was like, okay, I hyped myself over. I'm like, okay, here we go. And so I went to the cafeteria and I got my little lunch tray and I looked around and I was like, okay, who can I sit with? And I saw this girl sitting by herself and I was like, okay, you can do it. Go for it. And I went up to her and I said, hey, do you mind if are you eating, like, is someone meeting you or do you mind if I sit here? And she goes, okay. And I go,
Not the response.
okay. And so I sat there and I like asked her a few questions and she answered with like one word. And then she like got up and left.
Oh no.
And I will be honest, that was not my fault.
You did nothing.
I really wasn't like acting that.
Yeah.
It was not.
That's a
So it could have been that she was just also in not a great place. I don't know.
Yeah.
But then that girl started working in the cafeteria. So every time I would go into the cafeteria, I would have to scan my card with that. Like that girl would have to scan my card.
That's awful.
And that was just
That was the end
I
of
did
it?
make a group of friends, and so I would always go with my friends. I'm like, I'm very popular. I'm just kidding. But I do still have friends that I made there, so
Yeah.
not her though. No, it couldn't have been her.
By no choice of your own.
I tried.
Oh man. I bet that is hard though. Like new city, like new college, like
Yeah.
trying to figure out who you are. Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
Do you have one, Mackenzie?
I don't know. I would say I don't know if I really have a failed one. Have I had one where I felt like the opportunity of like, oh, like we should be friends, but I don't know how to be friends? Which goes back to my question that I asked earlier, like how do you make friends? That was more of a question for me. I think just more of the missed opportunity versus like a failed story.
Yeah.
What about you?
Not so much as like failed attempt at being friends, but I was not liked by a lot of people in my freshman cosmetology class.
Oh no.
Okay, well that's just straight like drama.
Yeah, it
girl,
most
like,
definitely was
that is
just
not a reflection
it
of
was
you.
no, it was not. It was
No.
definitely girl drama and a lot of broken people in
Yes.
cosmetology school, and I did fear my tires being slashed a couple of times, but regardless, it it ended up being fine.
Everything's fine now,
Everything's
guys.
fine.
Don't worry.
Yeah, I can't really think of like an attempt at making a friend that did not go well, like in that moment. I have like, of course, like tried to text people or Instagram people to like get closer, be friends, and
Yeah,
I can just
it's
tell
just never
no,
worked
there's just
out.
no
Yeah.
interest. Yeah, and then I just let it go.
Okay, so going off of that, like trying to make friends, how important do you think it is to make friends? Like, how important are like godly friendships to you?
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, if you read the Word of God, it's pretty clear that we're called to community and we're called to fellowship with believers.
Yeah.
So I do feel like friendship is important in that aspect, as well as important in the factors of being held accountable by somebody that's also a believer, somebody that you can walk through hard times with and good times with and celebrate together, or call each other out on your issues and say, hey, like, let's reflect Jesus. You're not doing that super well today. What can I do to pray for you? How can I help you? So yeah, I do think that the Lord calls us into those friendships. You know, I think about the story of Moses, Aaron, and Hur. Is that correct? Yeah. So I think about the story of Moses, Aaron, and Hur, and how Aaron and Hur lifted up Moses's arms. And that's just the type of friends that I want to have.
Yeah.
I want to have those friends. I want to have the friends that will rip off the roof of a building and put me at Jesus's feet for healing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that it is essential. It is scriptural. It's biblical. And along with that, I think it's just as important for us to have seasons of being alone with the Lord. I did have a lot of troubling relationships and friendships in like high school and middle school, and a lot of that stemmed from my own insecurity, my own like failures within myself, or my own like heartaches, I guess you could say, that I was struggling with, and I was kind of putting that on other people, and sometimes it was just other people being mean to me and not being good friends. So whenever I went into my first couple of years out of high school, I definitely was just like numb to everything. Just like, yeah, I'll talk to people if they're there, but I'm not going to try and make a huge effort. Yeah. And I remember having like one or two like actual friends that I would go to lunch with whenever I was at Pellissippi and did like my music stuff. But other than that, I didn't hang out with anybody outside of school. Like I think maybe once or twice in 2 years did I actually like hang out with people outside of school. And I was freshly married, and it was just a really lonely season, but I learned so much about myself in that season and being content with not having a lot of friendships in that season. Because the Lord just used it to draw me closer to him and closer to my identity with him. So yes, friendships are very important, but I do think there are seasons where it's important that we are just alone with the Lord and learn to be content in that season.
That's good. Yeah. What about you, Hannah?
Yeah, I mean, I think, Brooke, what you said was great. And I think friendship is such a tool that the Lord uses to just reveal himself to us. And I mean, Jesus had friends.
Yeah.
You know, if Jesus needed friends, so do you.
Good
You
point.
know?
Yeah.
There's something beautiful about, you know, the title of this podcast is Known, but I'm a deep friendship person.
Yeah.
Like I want really deep, really close friendships with a few people. I can have like casual friendships with several people, but I don't consider that, like with a lot of people, but I don't consider that like I'm friends with them.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, I know them, but is it like, oh yeah, we're good friends?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I hold friendship in a pretty high standard in my personal life and like esteem. If I say you're my friend, that means something, and that means that I'm willing to commit to that. I think loyalty is something that I'm drawn to as a person, that I find my like commitment to a person is not, when I've decided to commit to you, I'm committed to you.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to be there. And so I think that's something that the Lord has really used in my life, both to encourage myself and others in the Lord, and to remind me that he is the only one who is ever truly loyal and truly good and truly a friend and all of those things.
Good. Yeah, I agree. So you are more of a relator type personality in your friendships. Brooke, what do you think? What's your personality type?
Yeah, relator as in like would rather like talk to a few people rather than a lot and like get to know them. Yeah, for sure.
You'd rather go deep with a couple people than be friends with a lot.
Than know everyone's name in the room.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm also awful with names.
Oh man.
The less names I have to learn.
Yeah. I've been that's something I've been working on, practicing remembering people's names, because it is important.
Yes.
And people do care.
Yeah.
I don't care. If you forget my name, just ask me.
Exactly. Same. It's important for both of our jobs.
It's important.
Yeah.
You know, like that's me.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, that's me for sure. I'm definitely like, what do you care about?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's important to you?
My husband is not that. He's definitely like, oh, I want to talk to everybody in the room. I need to say hi to this person. It's like on Sunday mornings, I'm basically like walking around trying to find him. Like, okay, who is he talking to?
Who has he not said hi to yet?
Yes. Yeah, the Lord definitely used us to balance each other out.
Yeah, I agree. So would you consider yourself like an introvert or an extrovert?
I've kind of been like dealing with this within the last couple of months, because for the past couple of years, I definitely would say that I'm an introvert. And I still feel like I'm an introvert because I don't think that I energize around people. That definitely drains me. So I would say that I'm probably an extroverted introvert because I don't mind being around people as much. I went through a season of some social anxiety, but I feel like the Lord's brought me on the other side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
I think I'm introverted because at the end of a long day, like being around people, I have much less to say, not more.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Same.
That's a good.
Yeah. But I'm not as introverted as I used to be. Like, I'll spend the whole day with my very talkative toddler and I'm not like, I need a second. Sometimes I am.
Yeah.
But it's not like every day. You know, like I'm comfortable being around people, but it's definitely, I feel like the more outgoing I need to be, the more tired I am at the end of it.
Same.
Yeah. I agree with that. I love being around people, and the Lord's definitely given me a love for people the last probably 5 years or so. It's always growing for me, but and definitely if there's like lots of days in a row where I'm around people, and even sometimes on Sundays when me and Austin get in the car and I just don't say anything, like it's it's needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are Sundays where I have to look at Zach because he's very extroverted, not very introverted. He's probably an introverted extrovert because there are times whenever he comes home and he needs to just like not say a word to me. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I understand this.
Yes. Yes, exactly. But after a Sunday morning, like we've gotten there at 7 a.m., we've practiced, we've done 2 services, we get in the car afterward and I look at him and I say, please don't talk to me until I've had food. And that is marriage.
That's just a healthy marriage.
Loving boundaries.
So good. I love that. What do you think is the easiest part of friendship for you, or the hardest part?
Easiest part of friendship, caring. I really I care. And it's not hard for me to find the motivation to get to know my friends. Like I want to know, like Brooke said, like I want to know what makes your heart cry. I want to know what makes you tick, and I want to be able to like
Say it back to you.
to remind you who you are, and I want to be able to just to understand you and like why you are the way that you are, and kind of speak into different like areas in your heart that like can be encouraged. I guess I want to like exhort you in those things. So I think like understanding, like getting to know and understanding people is a big thing for me. Because I think that's how I feel loved, is like when people get to know my heart and can, when it's a big or a little thing, kind of speak that back to me. So it's something I really try and do for other people. I think the hardest thing in friendship for me is when the relationship shifts, whether that's due to like life changes or just this season of the friendship coming to a close, or maybe there being like one or the other one is working through something and just needs to work through it with Jesus and not with others, or whatever that is. But that's something that I like take very like hard and personally sometimes. Like that's something that it bothers me, and something that I have to like work through with the Lord.
Because it can really feel like pruning sometimes. The Lord's cutting back the branches and you don't really understand why, but you have to trust that it's for good reason.
Yeah. And I want to be able to be that person for the people that I love. And sometimes that is out of true like caring and love, and sometimes that's out of pride. Yeah. And the Lord's like encouraged and convicted me, you know, regarding which one that is at the moment. Yeah. But I think sometimes friendships just aren't meant to be forever. Yeah. And that's something that I used to have a really, really hard time with. And now I have more grace for it. I think I'm learning to have more grace for it. It also like opens up avenues for different new relationships that can also be beneficial for everyone. So that's kind of the hardest thing for me to walk through.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say for me, because like we're similar in personality type of where we want to like invest in people and get to know the person, the easiest part is like asking questions and learning about them. Like, why do you think the way that you do? Why are you the way that you are?
I want to know.
I want to know. And so I think that kind of comes natural to me. I'm very invested in like the individual person, because even like me and Brooke, we're very different, but I love the way that she's different than me, because both of our strengths are valuable and useful and different, opposite and can be opposite, which is really good for different situations because they balance each other. And I think that that's really cool and just really like a model of community, you know, with the hands and the feet and like just the body of Christ. Everybody has different roles, but we're all working for the same purpose. I love that. The most difficult part, I would say, I don't know. It's like probably making a lot of friends. Like it doesn't come as naturally to me. So I have to work on that. The hardest part in friendship, I don't really know. I would say, if it's like in the middle of the friendship, like where it's like, okay, am I going to choose to go closer with this person, or is this where it's going to be? Deciding if this is a friendship that I want to take into the deepest level, or if this is what it is and this is good, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. The limbo.
Yeah. Brooke, what about you?
Yeah. I feel like, similar to you guys for the easiest part, I feel like I pay attention. And
yes, you do.
I try to remember like, oh, this is their favorite thing. So I'm either going to bring it up or I'm going to get it for them. Like that type of thing, and being intentional in that way. I feel like I'm also good about praying for my friends and just, like I said, paying attention to what season they're in life, and either praying for them or asking if there's something that I can pray about for them, and just really trying to tune into the Spirit if there's something that I need to be a little bit more aware of. Yeah. I'm not always the best with communication and like text messaging. If you're my friend and you're listening to this, you know.
Me too.
I'm not the best texter, but know that I am praying for you and I love you deeply. I feel like the hard parts for me a lot of times come back to my insecurity within myself of like, oh, I'm a burden to them, or oh, they don't want to know what's going on with me. I just need to pray for them.
Not true. You're one of the coolest people I've ever met.
I know it's not true, but it still is just like, that's my own insecurity. And I want to share that stuff because I feel like there's definitely other people that feel this way.
Yeah,
and like
definitely.
There's power in Jesus' name. Like we can be set free from these things. But this is that's the real stuff that goes through my head is like, they don't want to know what's going on in my life. So I'm just going to pray for them and we'll keep it at that surface level and it'll be fine.
They have friends that they're closer to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's a classic.
Yep.
Very classic. Yeah.
I never mind sharing what's going on in my life because I am a full believer that if I am struggling, someone else is also struggling and someone else is struggling with the exact same thing because there's nothing new under the sun. So I'll talk about I'll talk about anything. But then at the end of the conversation, I'm like, oh, great. I said too much. They didn't care about all of that.
It's a fine line.
It is. Yeah.
It is hard.
Yeah.
Well, going off of that, what do you think, like, what are the qualities that you look for? That's because both of ours were kind of similar in like the middle of the road. We don't know if we want to take it deeper. What are the qualities that you look for when you're looking for like a good friend? Like, who are you going to invest with?
Oh, someone that's not codependent.
Yeah.
It's not like, it doesn't feel like a one-sided type of deal. Like we're both going to put in as much into the friendship as the other person is.
I think also someone who is showing like equal investment, but also like, are they listening and caring about, basically, does it feel like I am being their friend therapist?
Yes.
Or does it feel like a mutual like exchanging of, and then there are seasons in friendship where it's not 50-50.
Absolutely.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But if it's starting out 90-10,
it's
not going to go to the deepest level for both of you.
Yeah.
Because, you know what I mean? And so kind of carrying like, okay, if I told you something that I'm a tester. I'm a Gideon at heart. So I will hand you something that is medium precious. And I'll see what you do with it. And I don't know if that's right or wrong, but that's just what I do.
That's just your personality.
It's just who I am. And so do I hear about that from someone else that you talk to about it? Because that's like a big thing for me is like, you're not.
Are you a vault? Or do you give
have
information freely?
Not even are you a vault as a person? Do you have a vault that if I ask you to put something in it that you will?
Yeah.
And does that mean something to you?
Yeah.
Because there are friends who are completely open books and blah, 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 blah. But if I say like, hey, I don't, this is just between me and you, I want to know that it is.
Yeah. You want to trust that. Trust in friendship is
right.
Really
I don't care.
important.
I don't care having to say that, but I want it to mean something when I say that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then also like something I've been noticed like in the past couple of years I've paid a lot of attention to is when I'm with this person, do I speak or think more negatively about other people? Because that's a tendency I have to be careful of like being judgmental or being gossipy is something that I've been convicted about. I think we all are continually, but specifically me. And I notice that who I'm around has a big impact on how I act about that. And so that's something that I try and be really careful about I want to get in relationships where I can be real and where I can ask like real questions and all of those things, but I don't want to be fake, but I also don't want to be in a friendship that is solely based on either what is going negatively in life or speaking or thinking poorly of others.
Yeah. I'd say that's really good. I would agree. And like going off that for me is like, kind of, do they make me a better person or a worse person?
Yeah, I guess that's
like,
part
I
of
feel
that.
like
Yeah,
that's what you're saying, and that's I agree with that for sure. What am I thinking when I'm hanging out with them? And am I thinking only negative stuff, or am I thinking about the positive stuff? Like I think the reasons that I'm friends with both of you, even before this podcast, was because you made me want to be a better person. You made me want to follow Christ more, and I feel like that's what I look for when I look for a friendship is, are they further along in their sanctification process than me? If so, I want to be friends with them.
Yeah, that was a fun little story time.
That was great. Yeah. Kind of personal, get to know you / like godly friendships. I thought that was really good. If you have any questions, DM us. Follow us on Instagram first and then DM us with your questions, thoughts,
how you make
concerns.
friends.
Yes. That's how you make
That's how
friends.
you make
We
friends.
have learned.
Yes.
You heard it here first.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. Bye.
Read your Bible.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Good point.
Read your Bible. Don't just listen to what we say. Ask the Lord and ask people in your life that you trust. And make it a point to text your friends and tell them that you love them.
Yeah.
And ask how you can pray for them.
Yeah.
Or reach out to
Good.
someone new.
Oh my gosh.
Come
I can't
on.
believe I was trying to end it without you saying that. Amazing. See, this is why we're friends.
We make each other better.
Exactly.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.